today we're going to look at how you can start solving equations and showing your work algebraically now instead of using a table and an equation mat. Because our goal is to be moving away from those a little bit as the year progresses when you start feeling more comfortable with it. So let's start here by just solving an equation. We've got 3x plus 3 minus 1 equals 4x plus 9. Now I like to draw a line down the middle here to show like kind of visually see what's on the left would be on mat A and what's on the right would be on mat B if I was to build this with tiles. But I'm going to do it without tiles. Alright, so I'm thinking to myself, okay, do I see any like terms that can be combined here? I see a plus 3 and a minus 1. So on a mat, that would be 3 blue units and 1 red unit, and we know that would make a 0 pair, and you'd be left with just 2 blue units. So I'm going to put plus 2 below here. Right? Plus 3 minus 1 is just 2. We combined our terms. And I'm going to still have my 3x over there. And we're going to say that's still equal to 4x plus 9. Now remember, guys, the goal is to get all your x's on one side of the mat and positive. And right now I've got x's on both sides. So I could either take away 4x from the right or take away 3x from the left. Let's take away 3x from both sides, because what we'll be left with here then is 3x minus 3x. Those cancel out, so I just have 2 on the left, and 4x minus 3x is x. And I still have my 9 on the right hand side. Okay, we've got x positive and on one side of the mat, so now we need to get rid of anything else that's on the same side of the equation. So I see plus 9. So I'm going to I can say take away 9, or I can add a negative 9. If I was doing tiles, I would have added a negative 9. And I see that a positive 9 plus a negative 9 cancels out, and I'm left with x on the right. And then on the left, I've got 2 plus negative 9, or 2 minus 9. And I have x equals negative 7. Now, I'm going to try to slide this around here so we can do our check. When I do my check with these, I have to be really careful that I'm including this negative in front of my 7, and I just recopy our original equation exactly as it is, with negative 7 in place of x. So I'm going to do 3 times negative 7 plus 3 minus 1 equals 4 times negative 7 plus 9. And I'm going to simplify both sides and see if they equal each other. So 3 times negative 7 is negative 21 plus 3 minus 1. And we want to see if that equals, we have negative 28 plus 9. So negative 21 plus 3 is negative 18. Negative 18 minus 1 is negative 19. And on the right hand side, I'm hoping I have negative 19. Negative 28 plus 9 is also negative 19. So that tells me that my answer checks. Alright, here's our second one now. I've got negative 3x plus 7 equals x minus 1. Copy this down with me as I go through the steps here. So I want my x's positive and on one side of the mat. And I see on the left I've got negative 3x. So I want to get rid of those so that they become positive. So what I would picture myself doing on the mat is adding 3 x tiles. So I'm going to do that on my paper as well. And I see that negative 3x plus 3x cancels out. And I'm just going to draw my line here. And I'm left with 7 over on the left mat. And then x plus 3x is 4x. And we've still got minus 1. All right, now to get rid of this negative 1 or the minus 1, I would add 1. And I'm going to do that to both sides of my equation and see what we have left. So this cancels out, and I'm left with 4x over here. And 7 plus 1 is 8. So now I've got 4x equals 8. But I don't want to know what 4x is. I just want to know what x is. So what do I need to do next? That's right, I need to divide both sides by 4 so that I know what x equals. Because 4x divided by 4, right, that's a giant 1 in there, leaves us with x. And 8 divided by 4 is 2. So x equals 2. And for sake of time today, I'm not going to go through and check each of these. You're welcome to do that if you want to. All right, problem number 3. Now we're going to throw one in here with the distributive property. All right, we have 3 times x minus 1 plus 1 minus 2x equals negative 4 plus negative x minus 2. All right, first thing I'm going to want to do here, after I draw my line, is distribute this part of our equation. Right? I've got to use the distributive property here. So I'm going to do 3 times x, which is 3x, minus, right, we've got a subtraction here, so minus 3 times 1, which is 3, plus 1 minus 2x. I'm right now just bringing down the rest of it. Alright, now I'm looking for any terms that can be combined on each side of the equation. So I've got 3x and I've got negative 2x. So 3x minus 2x leaves me with just x. And then I've also got negative 3 plus 1, which is negative 2, or minus 3 plus 1 is negative 2. And that's going to be equal to, on the right hand side, I'm also got my negative 4 minus 2, which is negative 6. And then I've got plus negative x, nothing to be combined there, so I'm just going to leave that as it is. Alright, now we're trying to get our x's positive on one side of our mat and everything else on the other. So let's see what we can do here. I've got a negative x on the right, so I'm going to add an x. That's going to make that cancel out. And I've got negative 6 left on the right hand side. And then over on the left I have x plus x, so I have 2x, and I still have negative 2 over there with it. Alright, my x's are positive and on one side of the mat, so now let's get rid of anything else that's over there with it. So I have to get rid of that minus 2, or the 2 negative tiles. I'll do that by adding 2 to both sides. And when I do that, I see those 0 pairs cancel out, so I have 2x equals negative 4. And in my final step here, I'm going to have to write it up here because I'm out of space. I need to divide both sides of my equation, oh maybe I can fit it, both sides by 2, and I get x equals negative 2. Alright, now we're going to look at what happens when, I'm going to tell you in advance here, this is going to be one where you're going to have a decimal answer. Normally you wouldn't know that in advance, but I want you to see kind of how this works when you have one of those. This is where tiles don't really help all that much because we don't work with portions of a tile. But what you know about tiles can help you solve problems like this. So I've got 10 equals x plus 5 plus x. So I'm going to first combine my like terms here. I see x and x, so I have 2x, and I still have plus 5 over there. And on the left, I've got 10 unit tiles, or 10. Alright, my next step is, I've got my x's positive and alone on one side of the mat, so we need to get rid of anything else that's over there. So to get rid of my plus 5, I either need to do the opposite, which is minus 5, or if you're picturing tiles, you would say you're adding negative 5 to that, because that'll make some 0 pairs. Okay, so over here we have negative 5 plus 5, which is going to be 0, so we can just cross that out. And I have 2x left, and then 10 plus negative 5 is 5. So at this point we have 2x equals 5, and every time you get down to this step, you just need to divide by however many x's you have. So we know what 2x is, we want to know what 1x is, so I need to divide both sides by 2. Because 2x divided by 2 will just leave us with x, and then whatever the left side equals tells us what x is. So 5 divided by 2, you can either keep it as a fraction and just say 5 halves, or 5 divided by 2 is 2.5. And x would equal either one of those numbers. Is perfectly fine to use when you write your answer, either a fraction or the decimal. And we are going to do one more example here. Again, this one will have a decimal answer so that you can kind of see what happens when it doesn't work out so nice with just using algebra tiles. This one also has the distributive property. It's a good one. Alright, so we're going to split it down the middle, and on the left here I'm going to start combining terms. I see I have 6 minus 3, so that's just going to be 3, and I still have my minus x. I'll bring that down. And then on the right I have to distribute. 4 times x is 4x minus 4 times 2, which is 8. Alright, now let's get our x's positive on one side of the mat. In this case I'm going to add x to the left and add x to the right so that that one cancels out. And I've got 3 equals 5x minus 8. And then I'm going to try to get rid of this minus 8 that's over on this side now. And to do that I'm going to add the opposite. So we'll add 8 over there and add 8 over here. This one cancels out. We've got a whole bunch of 0 pairs. And I'm left with 5x equals 11. And at this last step, would you know what to do? You need to divide both sides by however many x's you have so that you find out what 1x is. And I have x equals 11 fifths, or you can just divide it out. 11 divided by 5 is 2.2. Alright, I'd like you guys now. Alright, these are the 4 practice problems that I would like you to try to see how well you're understanding this concept. They're not graded, but I do want you to submit your answers in Schoology on the quiz. It's called the quiz. On the quiz that follows this video, just so I can kind of get a read for how well you guys understand this and what we need to do in class next time. Also, make sure that you bring your work to class with you when you come, so that if you made errors, we can go back and look and see where. And so I can see how you're doing with showing all your steps. Okay, just a heads up, I think one of these will have a decimal answer, so that doesn't throw you off when you get there. And if you have any questions on these guys, feel free to email me and I will get back to you and let you know, so you'll know even before you come to class next. Okay, thanks for watching.